ברוכים הבאים לפודקאסט של שפות-שלי, בית ספר לאנגלית ושפות נוספות. אני אריאל, אני כאן איתכם היום לפרק המרתק הזה. This is a ראש השנה special. firstly, רוצה להגיד לכל המאזינים שלנו שנה טובה ומתוקה, שלכם חג שמח. אנחנו נכנסים כרגע לתקופה של חגים, אז כמובן מועדים לשמחה, ובואו נצא לדרך. היום we are going to talk about a book by Patrick King called Read People Like a Book, לקרוא אנשים כמו ספר, how to analyze, understand and predict people's emotions, thoughts, intentions and behaviors, and also how to be more likable and charismatic. This is a book by Patrick King, בעצם מדריך מקיף להבנת ההתנהגות האנושית. So this book is a pretty comprehensive guide to understanding human behavior, covers everything from body language and facial expressions to personality types and persuasion techniques. It also provides practical advice on how to use this knowledge to improve your relationships, career, and overall quality of life. So in today's podcast, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of the book and share some of the key takeaways. I'll also be talking about how to apply this knowledge to your own life. איך בעצם להטמיע את זה לחיים האישיים שלכם. יש פה כל מיני concepts שהם פשוט מדהימים, mind-blowing stuff, וזה פרק מרתק, דרך מאוד מאוד מעניינת to לפתוח תחנה חדשה, to open the new year. This is an interesting topic. There'll be a lot of new vocabulary for you guys, עוד סמנים חדש, אבל כמובן זה פרק מרתק, יהיה לכם הרבה טיפים פה מעניינים שאתם תוכלו להטמיע לחיים שלכם. כמובן, just concentrate to understand the English. So let's get started. We're going to talk about the first section is body language. The book provides a comprehensive guide to understanding body language. It explains that body language is our non-verbal communication, and it can reveal a lot about our emotions, thoughts, and intentions. And it identifies 4 key elements of body language. Posture. Our posture can reveal our mood, confidence level, and attitude. For example, someone who's standing up straight with the shoulders back is likely feeling confident and assertive, while someone who's slouching is likely feeling insecure, submissive. כמובן, איך אנחנו עומדים, זה כבר אומר הרבה דברים עלינו. Number 2, gestures. Our gestures can also be very revealing. For example, someone who's fiddling with their hair or clothes is likely feeling nervous or anxious, while someone who is crossing their arms is likely feeling defensive or closed off. Next one is facial expressions. Our facial expressions are one of the most obvious forms of body language. They can reveal our emotions, such as happiness, sadness, anger, and fear. And the last one is eye contact. Eye contact, קשר עין. Eye contact is another important form of body language. Can show interest, engagement, and attraction. However, too much eye contact can make someone feel uncomfortable. There are also a number of specific body language cues that can be interpreted in different ways. For example, crossed arms can be a sign of defensiveness, but they can also be a sign of comfort or relaxation. The book also discusses the importance of considering the context of the situation when interpreting body language. צריך תמיד לחשוב על זה בקשר, זאת אומרת בהקשר, כשאנחנו מפרשים שפת גוף. So, הנה כמה טיפים, here are a few tips for reading body language effectively. But number 1, be aware of your own biases. We all have biases that can influence how we interpret body language. For example, if we are attracted to someone, we may be more likely to interpret their body language in a positive way. Number 2, consider the context of the situation. תמיד לחשוב בהקשר לגבי המצב. The same body language cue can have different meanings depending on the context of the situation. For example, if someone is avoiding eye contact while they're giving a presentation, it could be a sign that they're nervous. However, if someone is avoiding eye contact while they're talking to you in a crowded room, it could simply be a sign that they're trying to avoid being interrupted. The last one is paying attention to the person's overall body language. שפת גוף הכללי. It's important to consider the person's overall body language, not just one isolated cue. For example, if someone his arms are crossed, but they're smiling and making eye contact, they may be simply feeling comfortable and relaxed. By following the steps, you can learn to read body language more effectively. This can help you to better understand people's emotions, thoughts, and the intentions. It can also help you to build stronger relationships and to become more successful in your career. הנה כמה דוגמאות about איך להשתמש body language, שפת גוף, to your advantage, ליתרון שלכם, במצבים שונים. Number one, when meeting someone for the first time, make eye contact and smile. This will show that you're interested in getting to know them. Number two, when giving a presentation, stand up straight and speak with confidence. This will help you to project an image of authority and confidence. Number three, when negotiating, maintain eye contact and avoid fidgeting. This will show that you're confident and in control. Number four, when you're listening to someone, lean in slightly and make eye contact. This will show that you're interested in what they have to say. Number five, when you're talking to someone in a crowded room, speak clearly and maintain eye contact. This will help to keep their attention. By paying attention to your own body language and the body language of others, you can improve your communication skills and build stronger relationships. בואו נעבור לחלק הבא. דיברנו קודם כל על שפת גוף. Now we're going to talk about another interesting part of the book, which deals with facial expressions, תווי פנים. Okay, this book provides a comprehensive guide to understanding facial expressions. מה אנחנו עושים, אם אנחנו מחייכים, אם אנחנו, כל מיני, נקרא לזה, איך הפנים שלנו משתנים כשאנחנו מדברים. It explains that facial expressions are non-verbal communication. It can reveal a lot about our emotions, thoughts, and intentions. It identifies 7 universal facial expressions of emotions. Happiness, expressed through a smile, upturned eyes, and raised cheeks. Sadness, expressed through a downturned mouth, lowered eyes, and furrowed eyebrows. Anger, expressed through a clenched jaw, furrowed eyebrows, and narrowed eyes. Fear, which is expressed through a wide-eyed expression, raised eyebrows, and an open mouth. Surprise, which is expressed through raised eyebrows, widened eyes, and an open mouth. Disgust, expressed through a wrinkled nose, raised upper lip, and a lowered lower lip. Contempt, expressed through a raised upper lip on the one side of the mouth. It also discusses micro-expressions, which are fleeting facial expressions that can reveal a person's true emotions. Even if they're trying to hide them, micro-expressions typically last only a fraction of a second. So it's important to be observant in order to identify them. Here are a few tips for reading facial expressions effectively. Pay attention to the person's eyes. The eyes are often the first place where emotions are displayed. For example, if someone is smiling, the eyes may also be crinkling. If someone is frowning, the eyes may be narrowed. Look for changes in the person's facial expressions. Micro-expressions typically last only a fraction of a second. So it's important to be observant in order to identify them. Consider the context of the situation. This can help you to better understand the person's emotions. For example, if someone is smiling in a happy situation, it's likely that they are feeling genuinely happy. However, if someone is smiling in a sad situation, it could be a sign that they're trying to hide their true emotions. שמסתירים מה שמרגישים באמת. By following these tips, you can learn to read facial expressions more effectively. לקרוא את הפנים של אנשים. This can help you to better understand people's emotions, thoughts, and intentions. It can also help you to build strong relationships and to become more successful in your career, והייתי אומר לא רק בקריירה שלהם, גם במערכות יחסים. זאת אומרת, יותר טוב אתם יודעים לקרוא אנשים, ככה יהיה לכם גם מערכת יחסים יותר טובה, וגם ככה אתם יכולים גם למנוע כל מיני מצבים של כעס ועימותים מיותרים, שזה היום כבר לצערנו נהיה ספורט לאומי בישראל. So here are a few examples about how to use facial expressions to your advantage in different situations. When meeting someone for the first time, תמיד לחייך, smile and make eye contact. This will show that you're friendly and approachable. When giving a presentation, maintain eye contact and smile periodically. This will help to keep your audience engaged. When negotiating, שעושים משא ומתן, maintain eye contact and avoid making facial expressions that could reveal your true emotion. This will give you an advantage. ייתן לכם יתרון. כמה שיותר poker face. When you're listening to someone, nod your head and make eye contact. This will show that you're interested in what they have to say. When you're talking to someone in a crowded room, speak clearly and periodically. This will help to keep their attention. By paying attention to your own facial expressions and the facial expressions of others, you can improve your communication skills and build stronger relationships in כולם. עוד פעם אני רוצה רק להנגיש את זה פה, שלא רק בקריירה שלכם, אבל כמובן גם במערכות יחסים, אם זה מערכת יחסים עם בן או בת זוג, אם זה מערכת יחסים עם ילדים שלכם, If you understand people, you can avoid unnecessary grief, you can be smart, and you can obviously build yourself a happy environment and people that love you and will appreciate you, and that you love and appreciate as well. Let's talk about the next section of the book, which is very, very important. This talks about personality types. The book provides a comprehensive guide to also understanding personality types. Obviously, it explains that personality types are relatively stable patterns of behavior, thoughts, and feelings. Understanding personality types can help you to better understand people's motivations, behaviors, and preferences. It uses the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, קוראים לזה MBTI לקיצור, אם אתם רוצים לעשות על זה גוגל, to identify and describe 4 main personality types. 4 סוגים של אישיות. Number 1, analysts. Analysts are logical and analytical thinkers. They're often perfectionists and have high standards. They enjoy solving problems and finding creative solutions. Analysts are typically introverted and prefer to work independently. Diplomats. Diplomats are people-oriented and cooperative. They're often good listeners and have a strong sense of empathy. They enjoy helping others and building relationships. Diplomats are typically extroverted and prefer to work in teams. Next one is sentinels. Sentinels are organized and practical, often reliable and dependable. They enjoy following rules and procedures. Sentinels are typically introverted and prefer to work in a structured environment. Explorers. Explorers are spontaneous and creative. They're often adventurous and open to new experiences. They enjoy taking risks and trying new things. Explorers are typically extroverted and prefer to work in a flexible environment. So this book also discusses the importance of understanding your own personality type. אתם צריכים להבין בעצם איזה סוג אישיות אתם. And explains that knowing your personality type can help you to identify your strengths, לזהות את החוזקות שלכם ואת החולשות and weaknesses, to set realistic goals and to build relationships with people who are compatible with you. This is very important. תמצאו אנשים שמתאימים לכם, compatible to you. Here are a few tips for identifying your own personality type. לכן כמה טיפים מדהימים עליי. איך לזהות איזה סוג של אישיות אתם? Number 1, take a personality test. There are many different personality tests available online and in books. The MBTI שניבט עליו פה is one of the most popular personality tests. It can be a helpful tool for identifying your personality type. קוראים לזה MBTI. תעשו זה גוגל. Number 2, observe your own behavior. This is the next tip. Thoughts and feelings. Pay attention to how you interact with others, how you make decisions, and how you cope with stress. This can help you better understand your own personality type. And the last one is get feedback from others. Ask your friends, family, and colleagues for their feedback on your personality. This can help you to see yourself from a different perspective and to gain a better understanding of your personality type. Once you have a better understanding of your own personality type, you can use this knowledge to improve your relationships, your career, and your overall well-being. So who doesn't want to do well? These are some amazing tips, guys and girls. Take a look at it online. Please Google it or write a sentence with the cashier. I took a personality test myself, and I'm a mixture of a bit. I'm not going to share it in this podcast, but I will talk about it down the line. כי ברגע שאתם יודעים איזה סוג של אישיות אתם יכולים להשתמש לזה ליתרון שלכם. So here are a few tips now for using your personality type to your advantage. Giving you guys loads of tips today, but these are very, very useful. And these are basically drawn from the book. So in your relationships, the first tip is obviously in your relationships, when you understand your personality type and the personality types of the people you interact with, you can build stronger and more meaningful relationships. For example, if you're an analyst, you want to be more mindful of the needs of your diplomat friends who may require more emotional support. Number 2 is in your career. When you understand your own personality type and the personality types of the people you work with, you can choose a career path that is good fit for your personality, and that will allow you to use your strengths. For example, if you're a sentinel, you may want to consider career in structured environments such as accounting or law. Next tip is obviously in your overall well-being, can assist you in your overall well-being by knowing your personality type. Because when you understand your own personality type, you can make choices that are aligned with your values and priorities. For example, if you're an explorer, you may want to make sure that your job and lifestyle allow you to travel and experience new things. By understanding personality types, you can gain a deeper understanding of yourself and the people around you, and this knowledge can be used to improve your relationships, your career, and your overall well-being. אז תעשו לעצמכם טובה, תיכנסו, תעשו גוגל, תמצאו את המבחן אישיות, תנסו לזהות איזה סוג של אישיות אתם, drill it down a little bit, go into more detail, profile it, then begin to think, okay, the people in my close circle, what sort of personality types are there? The people in my career, what sort of personality types are there? Am I compatible with these people? Am I compatible for my career? Am I compatible for my team? Am I compatible for my colleagues? And if you're not, or you need to adjust, then you make those adjustments to be considerate of the different personality types that you're dealing with, or obviously adjust your environment. Next one, let's go into the next section today that the book talks about. Persuasion techniques. זה מאוד מאוד חשוב, מאוד חזק, גם החלק הזה. מדבר על כוח השכנוע, persuasion techniques. We see that persuasion is the art of convincing someone to do something that they might not otherwise do. So the book teaches us how to use different persuasion techniques to get what you want in life, כדי להשיג מה שאתם רוצים בחיים, אבל כמובן, make sure that you guys do it ethically. I'm going to share with you guys some information. I'm going to share with you guys a lot of different persuasion techniques that I've spoken about in the book, but obviously use them ethically. So here are some persuasion techniques. Let's start with the first one, reciprocity. People are more likely to do something for you if you've already done something for them. Reciprocate. This is because people feel obliged to return the favor. For example, if you give someone a gift, they're more likely to feel obliged to give you a gift in return. The next one is social proof. People are more likely to do something if they see other people doing it. This is because people want to fit in and to be accepted by others. For example, if you're trying to sell a product, you can use social proof by showing testimonials from satisfied customers. The next one is scarcity. People are more likely to want something if it is scarce or in limited supply. This is because people don't want to miss out on an opportunity. For example, if you're selling a product, you can use scarcity by creating a sense of urgency, such as offering a limited time discount. Authority. People are more likely to obey someone who they perceive as having authority. This is because people are naturally inclined to respect authority figures. For example, if you're trying to persuade someone to do something, you can use authority by citing an expert opinion or by quoting a law or regulation. Next one is liking. People are more likely to do something for someone that they like. This is because people are more likely to be persuaded by people who they feel a connection with. For example, if you're trying to persuade someone to do something, you can try to build a rapport with them by finding common ground, or by complimenting them. The book also discusses a number of other persuasion techniques, such as foot in the door technique, the door in the face technique, אחד זה הרגל בדלת, הדלת בפנים, זה הטכניקה השנייה, and the low ball technique. The book also provides tips on how to use these techniques effectively. I'm going to talk about a little bit about these techniques here because they sound interesting. They're not just cool names, לא סתם שמות מגניבים, בעצם מאוד מעניינים. בוא נדבר על הרגל בדלת, the foot in the door technique is a persuasion technique that involves asking someone for a small favor first, then asking for a larger favor later. The idea is that people are more likely to agree to the larger favor. They already agreed to the smaller favor. To use the foot in the door technique effectively, it is important to start with a small favor that is easy for the person to agree to. Once they have agreed to the small favor, you can then ask for the larger favor. It is also important to be respectful of the person's time and energy. Don't ask for too much too soon. Don't be too pushy. Here's an example of how to use the foot in the door technique. Number one is you're trying to convince your friend to volunteer at the local kitchen soup. Maybe you can start by asking them if they'd like to donate a can of soup. Once they've agreed to donate a can of soup, you can ask them if they would be willing to volunteer at the soup kitchen for a few hours. The door in the face technique is a persuasion technique that involves asking someone for a large favor first, and then asking for a small favor later. לטכניקה הזאת קוראים לזה הדלת בפנים. The idea is, הרעיון פה, is that people are more likely to agree to the smaller favor after having refused the larger favor. Let's see an example. To use the door-in-the-face technique effectively, it is important to start with a larger favor that is likely to be refused. Once the person is refused a larger favor, you can then ask them for the smaller favor. It is also important to be respectful of the person's time and energy. Don't be pushy and don't ask for too much. Here's an example of how to use a door-in-the-face technique. הנה דוגמה, you're trying to convince your boss to give you a raise, אתם רוצים העלאה בשכר, שזה משהו מאוד מאוד נפוץ. So you can start by asking for a 20% raise. Once your boss has refused the 20% raise, you can then ask for a 10% raise. So you basically give them, highball them straight away. Let's talk about the low ball technique. Okay, הכדור הנמוך, the low ball. This is a persuasion technique that involves offering someone a product or service at a low price and then increasing the price once they've agreed to buy it. The idea is that people are more likely to agree to the increased price if they're already committed to buying the product or service at the lower price. To use the lowball technique effectively, it is important to start with a price that is significantly lower than the market price. Once a person has agreed to buy the product or service at the lower price, you can then increase the price. It is also important to be honest and transparent about the price increase. Let's talk about an example of how to use the lowball technique. Let's say you're trying to sell a car to a customer. You start by offering the car to the customer for, let's say, 40,000 shekels. Once the customer has agreed to buy the car for 40,000 shekels, you can then tell them that there is a 5,000 shekel destination charge. So it is important to note that the persuasion techniques should be used ethically and responsibly. You should never use persuasion to manipulate or exploit someone. Here are a few tips for using persuasion techniques ethically and responsibly. Be honest and transparent. Don't make false promises or exaggerate the benefits of your product or service. Be respectful of the other person's autonomy. Don't pressure them to do something that they don't want to do. Be mindful of the other person's needs and interests. Make sure that you're not persuading them to do something that is not in the best interest. By using persuasion techniques ethically and responsibly, you can build stronger relationships, advance your career, and achieve your goals. אז בבקשה, לקחת בחשבון שהכלים האלה מאוד 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 חזקים, אבל כמובן להשתמש בהם אך ורק לדברים נכונים ודברים אתיים, על מנת שתוכלו בעצם ליישם את זה בצורה תקינה, בצורה הוגנת, שגם הוגנת, which is, let's say, ethical with the world. That should be your main objective with anything in life. Let's go to the next section, applying the knowledge that we learned in this book. This is the final section for today. Unfortunately, I've got to wrap up this podcast. So let's talk about firstly how we can apply this knowledge. Now that you have a basic understanding of the book, let's talk about how to apply the knowledge to your own life. One of the best ways to start is to simply pay more attention to the people around you. Start noticing their body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. You can also start to apply the persuasion techniques that the book teaches. For example, if you're trying to sell something to someone, you can use the principle of scarcity to create a sense of urgency. Again, here are some tips on how to apply knowledge from the book to your own life. Use the knowledge of human behavior to improve your relationships. For example, if you know that your significant other is feeling overwhelmed, you can offer to help them with some of the tasks. You use your knowledge of human behavior to advance your career. For example, if you're giving a presentation, you can use body language and facial expressions to engage your audience and keep them interested. Use your knowledge of human behavior to become more influential. For example, if you want to convince your boss to give you a raise, you can use the principle of reciprocity to start by doing something nice for them. So here are some specific examples of how you can apply this knowledge. First of all, at a job interview, pay attention to the interviewer's body language, facial expressions. They can help you to gauge the interest in you and to adjust your answers accordingly. You can also use persuasion techniques to make yourself more appealing to the interviewer. For example, you can use the principle of reciprocity by offering to help them with something. On a date, you can use this obviously on a date, which would be great. Pay attention to your date's body language and facial expressions. This can help you to determine if they're interested in you and if you are compatible. You can also use persuasion techniques to make a good impression on your date. For example, you can use the principle of liking by finding things in common with them and by complimenting them. And lastly, you can use the knowledge you've gained in this book, in this podcast, and from this book in a business negotiation setting. Pay attention to the other party's body language and facial expressions. This can help you to understand the position and to negotiate more effectively. You can also use persuasion techniques to get the best deal possible. For example, you can use the principle of scarcity by creating a sense of urgency. So by applying the knowledge from the book, Read People Like a Book, to your own life, you can improve your relationships, advance your career, and obviously become more influential. And I'm confident that I have helped you guys on your road to achieving these three things. And I strongly recommend that you guys pick this book up. It's a great read. And אני כרגע נגעתי ממש בקצה של הקרחון. קוראים לספר הזה Read People Like a Book by Patrick King. It's available on Amazon. And if you guys have any questions about today's episode, אם היה משהו שלא הבנתם, אתם רוצים שאני אדבר על נושאים מסוימים בשפה האנגלית, בשביל זה אנחנו כאן, בשביל זה המפיקים שאנחנו כאן, אני גם אשמח לשמוע לכם ישירות, שמי אריאל, מוזמנים תמיד ליצור קשר עם הבית ספר שלנו, לכל פרט, גם על הקורסים שלנו באנגלית ובשפות נוספות. המספר טלפון ליצור קשר, אנחנו מזמינים גם בוואטסאפ 053-550-1976 או במייל info@שפות-שלי.co.il. אני שמחתי להיות כאן איתכם היום שוב, אני מקווה שתציבו לעצמכם מטרות ברי השגה לשנה החדשה, שתמשיכו לעבוד קשה, לחלום, לקום כל בוקר עם מטרה, לעשות צעדים קטנים. תמיד תזכרו שרק רואים, כשאנשים מצליחים רואים את 100% בסוף, אבל לא רואים את 1% שהם שמו על בסיס יומיומי המון זמן, והכישלונות שהיו בדרך, והרבה לא שהיה בדרך. So, keep going, never quit. It's always going to be a no till someone says yes. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and it's a yes for you guys. And I will be here again next week, like always. Have an amazing week. And Ariel, I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.